When someone suffers a personal injury, often the impact can be sudden and immediate, so there may be a financial loss that's suffered straight away. Getting an interim payment can alleviate that financial burden.
So an interim payment is essentially a payment of compensation which is paid out by the defendant party in advance of the final settlement. So it's an amount of money which the claimant will get during the course of the claim or during the course of the proceedings before the final settlement is reached. And often a number of interim payments can be made throughout the duration of the case. They will be most vulnerable, they would have recently sustained the injuries they sustained, and very frequently it'll be the time period when they're suffering most by way of financial losses. For example, after many road traffic accident individuals are not able to work for a certain period of time, or they might have certain rehabilitation or medical needs. For example, they might need physiotherapy treatment or some other form of therapy or medical support. Generally speaking, when we're instructed in a matter, one of the first things that we will focus on will be to try to elicit an admission of liability from the defendant party. And one of the reasons for that is that as soon as we've got an admission of liability, we can ask for an interim payment, which they could use A, by way of reimbursement for any financial losses, such as loss of earnings, for example, or B, they could use for rehabilitation purposes.
My advice to anybody who has sustained a serious injury and is considering pursuing a claim is to get legal advice as soon as possible, and that's so important. Partly because you've only got 3 years in which to pursue a claim anyway, but also for the injured person themselves, it means that potentially the lawyer could obtain an interim payment from the insurers to help pay for things like adapted housing, a suitable care package, disabled equipment like vehicles, wheelchairs, that sort of thing, that the person can then use to have a much better quality of life while the claim is still ongoing.